Greetings, flesh creatures. It is I, Megatron. On behalf of TFYLP, I want to congratulate you for listening to the most refined collective podcast on this miserable little planet Earth. Yes. Here you'll find knowledgeable fans discussing every aspect of Transformers and beyond. Now, enjoy the show while I continue my path to complete conquest of all of you miserable biological entities. Predacons, terrorize!
Now. Hi, welcome to TFYLP, episode 488. Hey, Rick, can you switch your camera the other way?
My camera?
Yeah. And you also sound now like you're in the bottom of a submarine, like underwater.
Get my other AirPod working.
Oh, okay.
We'll call him Submarek.
Anyway, okay, so we are live. It's TFYLP episode 488. I'm Lucas. I am joined tonight by Anna.
Good evening.
And Rick. Maybe Rick. I don't know.
Probably
if he
Rick.
shows up. And then we might have Paul dropping in at some point. Who knows? So we'll.
All right, go. In the cave.
You sound like you're in a cave in the underwater.
I'm just gonna...
Our guest phoning in from
Right.
his
right.
exotic island resort.
All
right, how's
from
that
his
sound?
underwater lab. Well, now you're not on camera. So.
We're getting there. The last time you were on camera, the view was great. It was just right.
Yeah.
To repeat that.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. I mean, it wouldn't be a TFYLP if we didn't have some type of technology issues or whatever. So
We gotta fall on our face for a solid 10 minutes.
Rick, Zaldron was wondering if you're having some performance issues here. I don't even know if he can hear us.
There we go.
But now you're
confirming.
frozen.
There we
Oh, there you go.
I fixed it. It only took a half hour.
Yes. I mean,
We're only 11
odds
minutes
are,
past the scheduled time.
is everyone probably assumes it's 8:30-ish, right? And we'll have some type of issues going on here, so...
Somewhere between 8:30 and next week.
Yes. So here we are. We said, TFCon happened over the weekend, so let's get, some people that are incredibly excited about third party to talk about the third party slides, right?
Right. And all
I'm
the
pretty
drama,
excited about third party.
and all the drama that happened with third party stuff.
See,
So my plan, Rick, is that we're going to save the drama for the very end. We'll segue naturally into the drama after we legitimately talk about the toys.
All right. Well, and then we won't have any time at the end to talk about New Party, unfortunately.
so I'm looking at the slides here, and I don't even know what you're talking about. There's all the slides don't seem to have any drama on them, so
I'll help. Anyway,
It's
Lucas,
all
I want
about
to draw your
context.
attention. See, right there, you can see I actually framed my art print from Expo.
Oh man,
Look at me.
that is awesome.
Is
Getting
that,
off
is
my
that
ass and
touching
actually
the glass?
framing.
Is that art
Yep,
actually
you
touching
bet.
the glass?
You bet. I'm doing it entirely wrong, Rick. I'm
Rick,
good at that.
I mean,
See, what
I'm
happens?
so-
What happens is that moisture, condensation, and then that touches the glass. So then when you go to take it off the glass, it's going to stick to that glass and it's going to rip.
Probably will. It's just going to stay in that frame forever. That's its permanent living.
I'm sorry.
You got the
Rick.
white borders on the side. You should just send it to me, girl.
Yeah, if I were to send you every single art print that I have currently in my closet, I would have to send you one of my paychecks. Perhaps
Make it happen.
two.
Yeah. Rick's like, I don't see a problem with that.
Why not a
Yeah.
problem?
Yeah, I'm open for business.
So,
As we know, Rick
Speaking of
professionally
exciting
frames
things
things.
framed, segue to framing. Somebody the other day, I had this crazy idea that I was going to frame some comic books, and so I made a couple of examples. I didn't think anything of it. Not a whole lot of people ask about it. But this little old lady came in with a Ziploc bag, and I shared the picture with you guys in the group chat. She brought in a Hulk #1 to get framed, an original Hulk #1. And I've got this whole crazy concept that I'm going to do for it. It's going to have LED lights. It's going to have like rock facade inside of it. It's going to be great. A few days later, she brings me in a Green Lantern #6.
Nice.
And then she's like, hey, my husband says he's got a few more comics that are valuable. So, like, first of all, she brings me in a Hulk #1. I showed you guys a picture of it. She brings me in a Hulk #1, which in the condition it's in, it's probably in the 20K mark, right? But then she's like, yeah, he's got some comics that are valuable. He's got 6 of them that are worth money. I'm like, okay, well.
So the ones that she brought to you that were the $20,000 ones, those were like the starter ones that are like, oh, these are the throwaways, if he screws it up, right?
It's in a Ziploc bag. She brought me the Hulk in a Ziploc bag. I got the bag and board, a Hulk for her. I'm like, I'm just going to put it in the bag. Here's a board. Just take it. Just so I can say I bagged and boarded a Hulk #1. And believe me, when it's done, it's going to look amazing, and I'll share lots of pictures with it.
Yeah, it's really exciting. That's really cool.
So, that's what I've been up to.
Well, that's pretty exciting. So I myself have not handled a Hulk #1, so
I've never
Lucas,
handled
if you
it.
have the picture in the group chat, you can share it with people.
I don't know where it's at, Rick. That takes effort to actually look. It was hard enough for me just to get the slides up so that we could share those. So
what you could do, Rick, is you could make a post. You can make a post on the TFYLP Facebook group.
You know what?
And
I'll
share
wait
it with
done.
everyone.
I'll do a before and after.
Oh,
that's the way to do it.
You're right, with the shitty Ziploc bag, and then it's nice in all the museum framing and stuff.
And I think, Transformers fans in general can appreciate a Hulk #1.
It's not
a big deal in the comic book world.
It's not Transformers, but they understand. Like, collectors in general have a camaraderie that they understand. Like, oh, hey, I don't collect license plates, but I understand the addiction and the thirst and the hunger you have for collecting. I understand your passion.
It's just like all the Transformers fans right now totally get why that Hiss tank is so exciting for G.I. Joe fans. They don't want it, but they get it. They can see that and be like, oh, yeah,
there's been a fair amount of crossover between G.I. Joe and Transformers.
There's a lot of crossover.
Yeah.
Overs in comics. Haha.
Yeah, there's
Joe
even a
fans
crossover Hiss tank, isn't there?
There is, and it's So
it's
a
thing that exists.
The pre-order for once. Yay!
We waited 40 years, and that's what we're getting.
Yeah.
I probably would have kept it if they had to put out the classified one, but the classified one is too amazing. So
I don't collect classified, but I am going to get that Hiss tank.
I'm hearing a lot of people say that too. They're like, it's a display by itself. It's coming with 4 figures. You can put it in a case. It'll look great. So you don't really need a classified collection for it.
Yep.
So Ron's in the chat's giving a shout out to the tftalk.net Discord, where they discuss all of these items. Where this is probably old news for them, that they probably discussed a week or 2 ago. So.
But
what's the Discord?
I think it's good for us to discuss it as a group. Yeah, like you would be such a great person to have in the Discord, Rick, if you could just learn new technology.
I barely know how to look up porn on my computer. I can't try and learn anything else.
There you go.
Well, we
I
take
know
what
how
we
to
can
use
get.
eBay and check my email and troll BotCon. That's all I know how to do.
So Rick, the great thing about Discord is that you can actually go to the link on our YouTube channel for the tftalk.net Discord, and then it just takes you right there, like on your internet browser. So you could have one browser window open for whatever that you want to do, and then another one with the Discord.
So it's just like the forums, basically.
Essentially, yes. But it's a group of like-minded individuals. So I don't know, how much drama is there in the Discord, Anna? Is there a lot of drama?
There's like one drama every 6 months. It's very rare. We're a very low drama group.
Yeah, that's why I kind of like shied away from Facebook. That's why I left the boards, just because, drama and.
No, I like to bring up like moral and political discussions that I'm not supposed to bring up, but otherwise we really don't have any drama whatsoever. And every once in a while people argue.
We're going to talk about
dilemmas later tonight.
Yeah.
Ways.
That's for hour number 2.
At least I'm going to say for 30-minute number 2. Let's be succinct, bro.
Okay, so I guess that we're supposed to be going over the TFCon reveals, right? So do you want me to go in order on this? Do we want to kind of go back and forth?
I think we can just go in order.
No, just go in order. We'll go in order and see what happens.
Okay.
Rick may not have even seen the photos yet. So
I haven't seen the photos.
Yeah, no, I asked my wife to pull up the website for me.
Oh, great. I'm glad. Team effort.
So Moon Studios apparently has release number 2 is the first slide.
They do.
So what is this, Anna? A Primus or something? I don't know.
I think it's some sort of planet guy.
Well, it looks like it's slightly based off the old Don Figueroa art from Dreamwave. But what I haven't seen anyone talk about is scale. I assume it's going to be in the same scale as Unicron, as the HasLab Unicron.
I would guess, yeah. No,
I made the assumption it was in the same scale as the Unicron that Moon Studios did, and that this is essentially a remold of that figure. Am I wrong?
That's what I would assume, yeah.
It's a different figure. It's a different figure. It's not a remold.
Okay.
It is a different figure.
That does make sense that it would be in the same scale as the Moon Studios, which is still on my to-get list, which looks absolutely amazing, especially with the upgrade set.
It does. It looks really nice.
So
from the 2 pictures, it looks nice.
Yeah, this will be a welcome addition.
Honestly, Primus just isn't something I need in my collection. I realized that with the original Primus toy, and it was like, a functional planet Cybertron the size of my house? Sure. But a Primus, I don't really need it.
See, you need it in multiple colors and repaints.
It's one of those. It's one of those things where it's like, how often does a Primus come around?
True.
So yeah, that's how I look at it. It's like, oh, I'm waiting for a Beachcomber. There's 1,000,001 Beachcombers. Oh, I'm waiting for a Repugnus. Okay, there's 1,000,001 Repugnus. 1,000,001 RCs. It's rare that we get a Primus. We've had one.
No, this is cool.
We've had one.
This is the second one.
And this is
the
first
fancy one.
Right. So, and this, inspired by Don Figueroa art, who does amazing art. So, yeah, this is a win. And Moon Studios is coming off strong with that Raiden set.
Yeah. I've heard Cell isn't super fun to transform either. I've just heard from the Raiden set it's not fun to transform.
But it's third party. I mean, isn't that every? I mean, not every third party toy, but the majority.
It's
of
a
these
lot of
toys.
Third party is not fun to transform at all. I think it took me an hour. Each member of that Moon Studio Raiden.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So
That's what
I
Christian was saying,
transform
too.
one, and I put it down because my hands hurt because I'm getting old. And
I don't think
so
it's because you're getting old. I think it's because those toys hurt you.
I'm getting old. So all the little intricate pieces and making sure everything fits together precisely. Otherwise, the thing just kind of flops over. It's tedious. It looks amazing, but it's tedious.
That's pretty much exactly what Christian said. I know that he got it and was super excited, and then after he transformed them all, he's like, I have to sell this now because I hate it. Which, in my mind, I would have just transformed them all to combined mode and then just been done with it and never moved it again.
Yep, it's going in a glass case, and that will be it. It will never be broken apart into individual robots again.
All right.
Yeah, that's just not something that appeals to me. But yeah, the premise is cool. We should probably move on. You're right.
Yeah, moving on. So Iron Factory, which I think no one on the cast actually collects.
But I will say that Iron Factory is the opposite of what we just said. Like, their toys are usually pretty easy to transform.
Yeah.
They do still hurt your hands because they happen to be pretty sharp most of the time.
Well, it's a different scale, so it's gonna be much easier to transform.
New Age figures are not easy to transform. Those get damn complicated, but Iron Factory keeps it reasonable.
Yeah,
I will say that I don't collect the Legend scale third parties, but I wish I did, and now I feel it's way too late to get into it, so I just don't. That's one section of the toy universe. I just don't get into third-party Legend figures.
So one thing
I think
say...
these companies are...
Oh, sorry.
I was just going to say, I think these companies are always trying something new. So I think there's always a get-in point in Legends. Like, somebody, like Iron Factory, changed their design like a year or so ago to go for this more samurai-inspired look. Their older figures don't really look like this. So it's a good time to start.
Yeah, so I mean, that is a good argument that, like, if you want to jump in, it's probably not a horrible time now because they changed their style somewhat for them. I will say in general that Iron Factory toys, like, a lot of the other Legends figures, like, they've increased the scale, they've increased the complexity, and increased the price. And so now, I mean, I think some of these Legend scale figures are the price of Masterpiece at this point. But the Iron Factory, I think, are actually like a relatively reasonable price. I don't know what the MSRP on this is. If it's like $50 or something like that, probably.
They usually say 40 to 50 per figure.
Yeah, so they're not like
they've
been consistent, through the years, and I think they look really cool. They have like just an interesting style to them. So.
But if you guys remember that really cool New Age depth charge they made where they reused their Cyclonus mold, that one ended up being $95 on those sites for a Legend size depth charge. It's just really hard to justify. The $40 Legends are easier to justify.
Right.
But I mean, these are impressive.
This Grimlock looks really cool. I like this. The Iron Factory Grimlock. He looks pretty neat.
Did they have a Grimlock in there?
Yep. I'm showing it up on the screen right now.
Ah, there he is. There he is.
Oh, and
yeah,
I guess
he's
that
really
was pretty much it. But yeah, so on to New Age. So they have... I thought New Age did a Cyclonus before, did they not? Or not Cyclonus.
New Age did a Cyclonus. Or
Shockwave, I mean.
Well, I think the Shockwave they did before was the Jazz done as alternator shock.
You're right. So this is a true one, okay. I
think this is their true Shockwave, and he looks incredible.
He looks really nice.
New Age is that company that pulls off the masterpiece looking toys, right? Like, it looks like a masterpiece figure, and it's less than 4 inches tall. They've stuck to their own scale too. Like, they've pretty much had toys coming out at all the same scale.
Well, didn't you say the RC though is bigger?
Yeah, I know. The next slide here. Yeah, now he's showing the RC, or now he's back to Cyclops. It's going back and forth.
Yeah. No, I'm showing off the RC now, and this like
Okay.
looks really really good. Like man,
But according to the Show Z listing, she is 5.3 inches. And if you ever measure your toys, 5.3 inches is taller than some of our current deluxes. Shorter than others, but she's probably about the same height as Earthrise RC. So it's not a Legends figure. It's a Chug figure that's going to look too nice. So it's interesting. Like, that made me instantly want it.
I
because
wonder
it's gonna
if
look
it really
great.
is going to be that. Like maybe it's one of those things where like the top of the car panels is going to, you know, it's going to.
It may be. It may be, but okay, so if you remember, Dr. Wu put out their RC a while ago, and everyone expected that because Dr. Wu was doing these micro legends, these even smaller than core class figures, that their RC was going to be that size. And then her size comes out and she's 3.9 inches. She's a Legends figure. She's a Legends Plus figure, actually. And everybody's like, what's going on? So I feel like the same thing happened here with New Age. Because that figure looks really hard to achieve in a Legends size class. Yeah. We'll see.
We will see. But yeah, no, it looks really good.
I think I'm going in on it until I find out it's $150 and back out.
Right. No, it'll literally be more than the like MMC RC or something. So, but all right.
That
so
surprised me.
On to Fans Hobby. So apparently they have a diorama coming. Are you in for that, Anna?
I don't know. I'll have to see the price. It's pretty generic.
Yeah, it is.
Like, it's cool.
This reminds me of the diorama. I can't remember. There was a company that did them back in the day. Do you remember, Rick, who that was?
They did a Teletran one that you can upload your iPhone to.
No. There was like a company that did these like gray dioramas that had like different levels and stuff.
For Transformers or like 3 3/4 inch figures in general?
I think it was like both. I just remember, I think Orson had a bunch that he sold. I just can't remember what they were.
Yeah, it's not ringing a bell.
Oh well, maybe so. Catherine is saying that's the FEX system, so maybe it is. Maybe they're like partnering with them because yeah, it looks like
that one is FEX. It literally says on the slide you have up right now, partnering with FEX.
Well, there we go.
This one is. Now, I personally only have one diorama. I only have my Scene in Box diorama that's behind my head that has Minosaur in front of it, and I really do like their stuff. This one doesn't look quite as cool to me as the Scene in Box one, but it is really cool.
Now, for me, it's weird. Like, I don't do dioramas for Transformers, but I do dioramas. Like, I go really heavy on them for G.I. Joe. Like hardcore.
So why?
Yeah, G.I. Joe's always had all these figures and stuff, or the vehicles and playsets.
Right. Like I take all the vehicles and I play sets and I add them all together. Or you guys know my flag. I built a 16.5 foot long USS flag that holds 24, 25 Sky Strikers. So yeah, I don't know what it is about G.I. Joe, but I think it's the army building aspect of G.I. Joe that makes it simpler to buy into a diorama for me.
Okay.
I think that makes sense. I mean, the figures are slightly smaller scale than those Transformers as well.
Yeah, and Transformers, they're not all in scale with each other. And I'm also that collector that only does them in robot mode. I don't have anything in vehicle mode. Nothing. Everything has to be transformed.
Interesting. I didn't realize this about your collection, Rick.
Yeah, I mean, even my duplicates. Like, they're all in robot mode. All of them. Because otherwise, it's just a car. And I don't collect cars. I collect robots. No, nothing against people that, have a line of G1 cars. It looks awesome in their display, but It's not for me.
All right, so next,
I collect robots.
Fans Hobby, we've got the Energon Optimus Prime, which I guess that's coming relatively, I don't know, a couple months, I guess.
It's really great that someone is making an updated version of Energon Prime, because that was, one of those primes everybody kind of rolled their eyes at when it came out, because the concept was fun.
They would call it Santa Prime because of his big belly. So this week on Cut the Tape, we're doing the third-party Armada Megatron. So,
oh, there you go.
Look for that one. Yeah, so this would be on my to-get list.
I'd like to see an updated mainline figure of this too.
I'm all for. Look, that's where we need to go. Like, how many Optimus Primes do we need to get in Masterpiece scale? How many Shockwaves? How many Starscreams? Let's branch out. All right, let's do the Armada guys. Let's do Energon. Give me some more Transmetal dudes. So I'm all in for this. I'm looking forward to it. I really, really would love to see a Cybertron Megatron at third party Masterpiece.
That'd be really cool. He's a very fun thing.
I could see Fans Hobby doing it. I mean, the thing is too is like their figures are usually pretty fun as well. I mean, that's where I feel like that Laser Optimus Prime that they did with the trailer. I mean, it had a lot of the gimmicks, and this looks like this has, a lot of those same gimmicks that you want, from your figure. So it's not just a display piece.
And I think that's what's missing from a lot of the new Hasbro figures. And I understand they're not Masterpiece, those headmasters. I just keep wanting to scratch that chest to open up the panel, and you just don't get that. But with third party, if that panel doesn't open, then it is garbage. You expect a certain attention to detail to the original figure, certain callbacks with third party.
Right. You do.
Yeah. Okay, and then we got Double Dealer, so that should be
good old Clouder
too.
Oh, he looks so good. I cannot wait to get rid of my Hasbro Double Dealer and get this beautiful creature. Look at it. He looks just like the animation model. It's great.
He does look very good. And, never say never with Hasbro. If we can get a Masterpiece Skids, never say never. But I think it'll be a long ass time.
It'll be a while.
We still haven't gotten Mirage.
I'm really excited about this guy. He is going to be. I hope he's as solid, because I had my first impression of Fans Hobby was bad because I got their Minerva, and their Minerva is not perfect, right? It has some major issues with the transformation. When they repurposed it into Shuta, it's actually fine, right? They just had to fix the legs, honestly, and make the arms better proportioned. So that first impression I had, I was like, I must hate Fans Hobby, but now I've got the other two Headmaster Juniors and I like them. So I'm really hoping this guy is more along lines with his junior frenemies.
Honestly, I feel that a lot of companies have a harder time with the smaller figures than they do with the big ones. I think Fans Toys is similar, and just really honestly a lot MMC, just go down the line. I think that these ones that are, they don't have to worry about, this is probably going to be a $200 figure, so they can put in the engineering they need and the QC and all that they didn't from a $50 or $60 figure.
Well, there's also more techniques you can use when you're engineering a figure of a certain size versus a little tiny thing,
Right. So, but yeah, this looks pretty neat though.
Yeah, I'm very happy with it.
And What do we got here? What's this MB-24?
I think these are two airplanes that stick on each other's butts.
Oh, I gotcha. The Dreadwing and Darkwing. Yeah, that's what Ron had already said. He jumped ahead.
Yeah, the Buster and Hydra guys. Yeah, so these are way too preliminary for me to have an opinion. Like, these guys don't have details or colors yet, so
Yeah,
I'm sure
it's
they'll
like,
look great.
what color are they going to come out in? You know, if they were really smart, they would do one set, one figure as like Dreadwing, and the other one as like Buster.
I think
right?
they will.
So it
Because
makes you like get both sets, because some people, oh, I'm just going to get the American version. Oh, I'll get the Japanese version. But if they release an American and a Japanese together, then it forces you to buy the other Japanese and American set so that you'll have a complete set.
They did two versions for Cab and Shuda, so I'm pretty sure they'll do two versions for these guys as well.
I'm saying release them as a 2-pack so you force people to buy both.
Oh,
both
no,
2-packs.
don't do that.
Don't give them
You know,
ideas.
it's like that Stranger Things Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle 2-pack. Have you seen that disaster?
Mm-hmm.
Right? That's what you do. You package the American figure, and then you turn the box upside down, and you have the Japanese figure. Right?
I don't want that.
Hey, but it's gonna sell.
I just want to buy one set, maybe.
See,
I didn't
it
even get
forces you
these
to buy
guys
two.
their retail version because I honestly have never really cared that much about them. But I don't know. Maybe I'll talk myself into it.
Well, when it releases in 2024, then
Right? It says 2023 on the slide, Lucas. I'm sure it's going to happen.
December 2023.
Right. All right. So we got Planet
December
X.
32nd.
Oh, are they doing more Dinobots? Are these up?
Or at least doing one.
Are they doing
This is, I think,
updates
a
to these, or
reissue.
what? Oh, okay.
This is a reissue, and it's coming in G2 colors as well.
It's been so long since they've released these that I've kind of forgotten what they look like, to be honest.
Hey, they even made paddles.
Oh,
I give them credit for that.
I mean, like, you know, I'm glad it exists, I suppose, but yeah, the paddles I don't really care about.
Well, you know, like, to me, it's special because I remember the meeting where they're like, "Hey, we want to make a new Dinobot, and we kind of have an idea for it." And so, like, to get a paddles, just to get that Planet X Triptychon, like, those are very sentimental to me. Mm-hmm. So I have all the Planet X stuff.
He doesn't really rock the red very well, in my opinion. I thought the actual G2 figure of the red version was great, and I had it as a kid and thought it was lovely, but I don't think this figure takes to the red very well. He takes to the green very well.
Well, these are both going to be passes for me. I'm not doing the G2 colors on these guys.
I randomly pick up some G2 now and then.
I'm glad they exist.
I love G2, but...
Oh, and then they're...
I personally don't like Planet X, but the next Planet X thing, yeah, is noteworthy.
Oh, and then they got their Victory Saber.
Yeah, so here's the HasLab regret, right? Like, people ordered their HasLab Victory Saber. They were like, oh, we finally got them. And now we get to see, you know, they finally have their Leo ready from Planet X.
It's probably not a regret because most of these HasLab figures are worth like twice as much, like once they actually come out, as like what they were when you got them. So
That's about it. Tell it a friend.
Yeah, if you're not happy with it, just sell it.
I want to do this instead. The HasLab will probably sell very well, and this will still cost more, but
I mean,
which will be engineered better?
Right.
Yeah, I don't have much experience with Planet X, honestly. I really can't give you an informed opinion.
I mean,
I've never owned a Planet X figure.
Their Star Saber. See, I'm surprised by that, Anna. Like, they run a lot of those figures on sale like years after they release them or whatever. I'm
I
surprised
don't like
that
their
you didn't.
style.
Really? Huh.
Yeah.
See, I don't know.
I've
I mean,
never
I
really
feel like
liked
it's
the style.
close enough to like the you like really like Fans Project. I don't know. It seems like it's close enough for me.
Yeah, there's just some sort of fundamental difference where I like Fans Project more. I don't know. For some reason, I've never liked the War in Fall of Cybertron style.
Uh huh.
Hmm. Well,
The
you know,
Saber and Leo here.
to me, it's
some
all
people could be
sentimental.
wrong. Sorry, what were you saying, Rick?
It's sentimental for me. You know, because I worked on all those games.
Yeah, I totally get why you would want them for that reason.
Yeah.
Yeah,
One
so
of
this set was really
I think my
impressive.
first day at Hasbro, they're like, "Hey, we're doing this game. Check this out." And it was War for Cybertron.
The only thing that I really wish that Activision still had the license for this. I think it's Activision, right?
Yeah.
I wish they still had the license for this so that they could actually release an upgraded version of War for Cybertron, Fall of Cybertron. Like all these companies have re-released like high definition versions of the games, and yet you can't get this on PlayStation 4, 5, whatever. You have to get an old school PlayStation 3 or Xbox whatever to
Find
to
the
play it.
disc copy.
Yeah.
You know what's crazy? When we were working on Fall of Cybertron, the guys who make Call of Duty came to us and said, "We want to make Call of Duty G.I. Joe." And Hasbro said, "Nope.
Dude, that would have went.
Can't do it. G.I. Joe's a baby war brand. Can't do it."
Yeah.
Ugh.
Just imagine Call of Duty G.I. Joe.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with them. It wouldn't feel right to me. I got my G.I. Joe cartoon mind.
So Anna, did you get the HasLab for Victory Saber?
I did. Yeah.
Yeah, I did as well. I mean, but again, that fits more into my collection. I did have this Planet X Star Saber, and it was really cool. So
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what I'll do. Honestly, I wish I could go back in time and get the MP Star Saber because I think that's probably closest to what I actually want. Because I do like it and it does look animation accurate. This new one is, we'll see when he's done. But I'm afraid I'm not going to like it, which is fine because he will resell fine.
It's been 10 years since that came out. I'm surprised it hasn't been reissued.
I know. Reissued with maybe some upgrades or something. That would be really cool. But, oh well.
well, and the thing that's hard with that figure too is there was a knockoff as well, so you have to watch out for that if you're actually buying it.
Yeah, you
like,
do. Because
used.
that's one of the ones people will try to sneak you.
Well, I think
That's
it's
no
hard. A lot of those figures, to be honest, like especially that time period, the knockoffs can be a little bit tricky to figure out if they're knockoffs or not.
So my deciding factor with this is going to be that I'm gonna get the MMC Deathsaurus, and I'm gonna see if he looks good with the HasLab. If he looks good with the HasLab, then I'm gonna keep the HasLab because I need a
I don't know. This thing
saber
looks really
to go
cool,
with his.
to be honest.
Oh, this is probably not gonna look good with the MMC though. It'll probably be too big and too fancy looking.
I don't know. This does actually look really. I feel like the combined mode of this looks really neat.
Oh, it's very impressive. Whereas
You don't
the
think it's
combined
too
mode of the HasLab
stylized?
is like fine.
See, I like that though. So.
Yeah, I like it too. It honestly reminds me of good old Superhuman Samurai Cyber Squad.
Like to me, this almost looks like the Flame Toys, and I don't have a picture of that, but it is reminiscent of that. So
More extreme, more stylized. It's really cool. It's a very that would be a very impressive thing to have in a cabinet.
right.
With good lighting.
All right, so on to fans' toys. So I guess we got a cliff jumper. So is this the ultimate cliff jumper, or are we waiting for Masterpiece?
Well,
Visually,
this is the most cartoon accurate one I think we'll ever get.
Mm-hmm.
this is visually a very good cliff jumper.
You know,
Rick,
Hasbro.
you're cutting the tape a little loudly there.
Oh, sorry. Well, you know, Takara's just getting into doing the mini bots. So, you know, I don't know how well that cliff jumper is going to be from Hashtag. So I think maybe 10 years from now, when we finally get an official Huffer and Brawn, by then they'll be like absolutely perfect. But I think we got to go through a few iterations of development hell before we get there.
Probably.
Yeah, I
this
wasn't
one
a
looks
huge
nice.
fan of the Bumblebee that they released. I like the engineering on
The
it.
new one or the
The new
original?
one. The original one was a ton of fun. I really liked. I mean, he wasn't accurate at all, but
It's a
the new
solid
one
toy.
the new one I just don't like all the crap on the back of it. But yeah,
The
this
new one
looks
doesn't
really
feel
cool.
like a toy at all. I sold mine at Expo finally. Very happy to get rid of it.
Yeah.
Well,
this
regardless
looks-
of what I think of a toy, whether it's good or bad, it has to stay in the collection.
yeah, but this cliff jumper looks on point though, and you
He
can
does.
open the windows and everything on the doors. That looks, yeah.
Who knows how hard he's going to be to transform? That's the things with fans toys is they're not for the faint of heart unless you only want to just pose in a robot mode and be done.
My hands already hurt just like thinking about transforming this thing. Like I feel the arthritis like creeping in already.
But yeah,
I get ya.
all their
No.
mini bots, they've been pumping those out, so they've done a pretty good job with those.
They look really good. They look very, very good. They're just more effort than I want to put into my Transformers.
Oh, and then the pipes. For some reason, did the pipes actually come out yet, or has that not come out yet?
No, it's not out yet.
Okay, I forget. Did they release a Huffer? I honestly see. I'm like,
that's the Rig, right? Is that his name?
Okay.
Rig. RIG.
I couldn't
Probably.
tell you. I'm sorry, Rick. I don't keep up with the third party names. It's like hard enough for me to.
I pay no attention to fans toys. I have to be honest. I owned 2 fans toys figures, and both of them ruined my life. So I had to never
That's
again.
a bold statement.
You know,
They ruined your
So
life.
ridiculous.
Wow.
they
Wow.
did. It was just too much.
Yeah.
No, I didn't enjoy owning those. Like, I actually still have Rouge. I can't sell her for the life of me, but I don't
Why
really
can't
enjoy
you
having
sell,
them.
Like, you can't sell her because, like, you can't get rid of her, or you just like.
Yeah, I've
what's
put her up for sale multiple times, and she never sells.
Did you not sell it at try to sell it at Expo? Because didn't you sell
She
a bunch
was
of other
there.
crap?
I sold my coot with actual damage inside of his undercarriage. I managed to sell him, but I couldn't sell Rouge.
Gee, I need a coot.
You wouldn't have wanted this one.
It was only
Well, it
slightly
came-
broken.
It came from you, so I would have wanted it.
It was only slightly broken, and I kept the Target Master. So
Oh, well, yeah, then screw you.
yeah, right. Hey, it was cheap. Whatever.
All right, so Powerglide. This is looking pretty good too.
So that's cool because we really haven't gotten options for Powerglide. Everybody still uses their
DX9.
DX9 Powerglide,
Isn't that a
which
pretty
I
good
think
one,
is
though?
amazing. I think that one is great. I don't need to replace it. It's honestly one of my favorite masterpiece level toys because it's playable. Like DX9's old stuff generally is playable, so I like it.
But again, this is good for like people to, if they're just, hey, I don't need to spend my life tracking down that toy that came out 10 years ago.
Yeah.
This is available now. It's easy to get.
Although the DX9 has a like bargain basement cheap KO out there that you can get for $20.
Can you still find it for $20, or is it like dried up?
I haven't tried it in a long time. I don't know. It was retailing for $20 to $25 when it was selling. That was crazy.
I'm surprised how big he is, like in the plane mode.
Yeah, he should be though. I mean, planes are big.
What's the over/under on a Cobra Rattler Deco coming out as a convention exclusive somewhere?
Fanslice doesn't do a lot of that, right? They don't do a lot of the fun decos.
They used to do more like convention exclusives and fun decos and stuff, but I feel like they've gotten away from that.
I love the hearts. Very fun reference to that one time in that one episode.
There you go. Apparently they have a picture with a retail RC there too. Thrilling 30.
Oh yeah, she is there with Rouge.
And then we've got the Fans Toys Recorder Blaster.
So
which
people
I
are guess
freaking
out about the gold.
People are freaking out.
Is that what people are pooping themselves about? You can get the gold chest instead of yellow.
I mean, I would assume they're gonna probably release 2 versions of this, though, right?
I'm sure that the Nerd Rage will cause them to release a yellow chest. I'm certain.
They're going to either anyway.
To me, that third party, but not very well known blaster, I like better than
KFC.
this one. No, not KFC. The was it Deformation Space? Were they the ones who did it? It's recent.
The new one. Okay, yeah, I don't
remember
who.
I like that better than this one. This one is more accurate. That one looks better to me.
I don't know. I like the legs on this. I mean, I do agree that the chest is
I hate the legs
with the chrome chest. Like, I think if they did a yellow chest, I would consider this.
It's really cool. And those tapes look really, really, really good.
The tapes look cool.
Like they just blew away what KFC did 400 years ago.
All right, so Ron says Deformation Space. That's the Tunish one.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
I think it looks better too. Yeah, honestly, I know it's come out. I haven't really looked at it all that much. But yeah, I almost feel like I want this for the tapes more than I do the actual figure itself. Although I think they're
selling a 3-pack of Ejector Rewind, whichever, and then the Kitty and the Rhino, which I'm seriously considering because they are really nice looking.
Yeah, these do look pretty good.
Because we don't have good versions of those from Takara or anywhere really.
Yeah, I don't understand why Takara has never released a blaster or tapes. I mean,
it's strange. It's a very strange choice. Yeah, so those are very tempting. Yeah, that one pic you showed where it shows the 3 of them, that's a 3-pack. I'm sure it's going to be like a $150 3-pack, but it's a 3-pack.
Because Rick, you were at Hasbro when Soundwave came out, right? Apparently, Rick is on mute.
Oh, that's why we haven't heard from him in a while.
I was wondering, yeah. Rick, you've been muted this whole time.
How's that? There we go. All right. So I was there while Soundwave was in development.
So, okay. Like, did you guys ever talk about releasing a blaster at the same time, or like did that
No,
not come up?
never came up. And Soundwave was a big topic of like going back and forth because he turns into a box, and a lot of people were trying to say, "Hey, it's Soundwave, it's a core character," but the marketing team, especially the head of the marketing team, which is he ended up going to Plato. He was all like, "It turns into a box. Kids don't know what a tape deck is. We should not invest in this." But nostalgia runs deep.
Right. I mean, that's the thing is
absolutely.
Masterpiece, I feel like, is a different market. I think you can totally make that argument for a mainline Soundwave, but I don't know. Like, for a Masterpiece, it's like you're selling it to the adults anyway.
Yeah.
And what's crazy is that Hasbro put out a clear POS Soundwave and never even got the Sound Blaster. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is the case.
That clear ghost of Soundwave, whatever that was, that should have been Sound Blaster.
I do kind of like that thing, though. I actually have it. It's kind of a fun piece.
I've
It's just
never
weird.
opened that. I have no desire to open that.
Very strange looking, but it's kind of fun.
Yeah, Soundwave has probably been one of the more reissued figures that they've done. I mean, obviously Optimus
That
Prime
is true.
is up there too. Like MP10, there's a million of those.
And MPO1 and, back in the day.
Good old MPO1.
I am curious, how many times have they had to rebuild that MP10 mold? Because as many times as it's been used.
Well, I would imagine with that mold, they built so many tools that they just said, "Hey, we're gonna redeco the hell out of this," and either they said, "Hey, we know we're gonna redeco the hell out of this, so let's just make 10 tools instead of 2 or 3," or they said, "Hey, let's just invest in tooling and then we'll make redecos wherever we can." So it was one of the two. My professional guess would be like, it's Optimus Prime. It looks great. Let's just make a bunch of tooling for it and see where we can sell it later.
Mm-hmm. And they have.
They sure have. So some sort of
here's the
pipes. Is that what's next?
Pipes is looking pretty good. I like this.
Yeah, it's fine.
You sound very excited, Anna.
Pipes is hard to get excited about.
It looks good, but yeah, like, do I need a pipes before I need a XYZ guy?
Yeah.
Do I need a pipes before I need Transmetal Megatron?
I am totally fine keeping pipes to chug for now.
Yeah, but they're doing, I don't know, they're doing all the mini bots. They all kind of, they're a group, so.
And they'll look great together. And someone who has the room, the passion, and the money to put them all together will have a cool display. I do agree with that.
I may have to break down when, like, Swerve comes out. But, we'll see. We'll see what happens.
All right, so now we're on to Toys Easy. Apparently,
yeah, I'm not sure how you pronounce Toys Easy. So Toys Easy is going to be the fun one to talk about tonight because this is the company that I don't think we've heard of them before, right? This is the first coming of Toys Easy.
Correct, as far as I can tell.
I did find that they did release another set of figures for some other show game. I think it was a game. They released some little mechs for a game of some sort. But this is the first time they've showed up in Transformer Land. So,
Anna, do you want to give the breakdown on what we were talking about behind the scenes in regards to this enterprise?
So first thing I'm going to say is, Lucas showed off the battleship here. and that battleship is a very nice looking toy, right? Like that is a very fancy looking, well made. The battleship
Very
is super
intricate.
impressive. The robot,
Yeah.
it's very intricate. The stand, is even kind of cool the way they did it. But
And
it
it's
is.
combiner, right? It forms the arm.
I don't think they've
Is it?
shown any other parts of the combiner though. Yes, there are images on the Show Z listing. They show images of arm mode for the battleship. So the thing is with this line is that these are interesting choices for figures they've chosen, because this one is actually a current Chinese ship that was officially endorsed by the Chinese government. And some of their postings do make statements about that it was made for the 25th anniversary of the annexation of Hong Kong, which was a statement that caused some people to kind of wonder, should I buy this figure? Because,
Yes.
people then have to decide how they feel about that in order to buy the figure, which most of the time we just buy toys and don't worry about that kind of stuff. But as soon as we hear that, then we have to think about it.
So for people who don't understand, Hong Kong was a British colony, and after 100 years, the British Empire made an agreement with China saying, we will return this land to you. My wife's family is from Hong Kong. My wife used to live in Hong Kong. And now Hong Kong is a part of mainland China. Because of that, they have outlawed Cantonese, which is the language spoken on Hong Kong Island. They only teach children in Mandarin now. It is forbidden to teach them in school Cantonese. People's rights that they were used to have been taken away. Sounds familiar. So
this is something people are very passionate about, right? Like people who are very passionate about this situation.
So like an American equivalent, you could say would be like somebody made a General Lee that transforms.
And that's kind of what I was thinking with this line in general, because so like this first figure that we're talking about, like that post has only showed up literally when we posted the link. It doesn't even show up in the toy listing, so I don't even know where that text comes from. It just comes from somewhere that it talks about being in celebration. But the other two figures in this line are World War II era German and Japanese vehicles. And, those also have that whole idea of here we are making toys of
celebrate
from
nations
a very violent, very rough war.
And celebrating nations that were, in the Westerners' view, the bad guys.
And that's a good way to put it, Rick. Like, generally we talk about those nations, those powers as being the bad guys in World War II. So it's just choosing those to be the first things you make in your line, right? Like if you made them after establishing the line, it wouldn't quite have the flavor it has, but it has an interesting flavor right now.
Right. So like in the 1960s, when G.I. Joe made a German figure, they called it the German figure. It wasn't called the Nazi figure, and it didn't come with swastikas. It was just called German figure, German man of action.
Right. Yeah, so this is very strange choice. And, it's like all three of these designs are really nice looking designs. And they're, very impressive military vehicles, but wanting to own them is something I don't.
Right. Now, that's exactly the thing. Do you buy them because you want a really cool Transformers figure?
Right.
Knowing that you're supporting a government that is oppressive, knowing that this particular figure is celebrating something which most people would deem as evil. I'll give you a very modern example. That Fortress Maximus Japanese crossover figure of the two guys.
Oh yeah.
So that was made in an art style, which in Japan is acceptable. But in America, especially to me, being married to an Asian woman, is very unacceptable. So that is a figure I don't own because to me it's degrading, right? The flip side of that, I have Kiss players. All right.
All right.
So that's the flip side of it. But Kiss players, I mean, if I had known then, if I thought then what I think now, I wouldn't have bought the Kiss players because of what it celebrates, what type of culture it celebrates and promotes in Japan. And it's just odd that Kiss players exist, and that like the manga is just even more bizarre. Like if you've ever read the manga, Anna, have you ever seen the Kiss players manga?
Yeah, of course.
Of course you have.
Of course.
It's not for me. It's just
no. It's got some very disturbing themes and very odd depictions.
It exists, and I you know, like I have a hard time saying, all right, well, I have Kiss players because it's part of the line. It's not something I collect. It's part of the Transformers line. But at the same time, I drew that line and said, I don't want that headmaster. I don't want that Fort Max head.
Right. And I think, Rick, you're making a beautiful point. And this is honestly the big thing I wanted to discuss. It's just how, like, when you're buying toys, most of the time you don't think about whether or not your values say it's okay to buy these toys. But people might be in that position. And it's just important to stay consistent. You know, giving yourself cognitive dissonance over a toy is just not worth it.
I do think it's really funny, Anna, that you're just now finally reading the IDW run of comics, but somehow when Rick was like, "Oh, did you check out the Kiss Players manga?" You're like, "Of course, obviously. I read that years ago."
Yeah, I was looking for a translation of that when it first came out.
I think that came out before the Idwa stuff.
Oh yeah, of course.
And
it was definitely during a white period.
Right? Like, I can't eat at Chick-fil-A.
Right.
You know,
and it's all about being consistent with your values. It's like, you just shouldn't make yourself uncomfortable over toys.
Right. Like, Chick-fil-A tastes great. It's amazing. Who doesn't like fried chicken? I love fried chicken. I love fried chicken with pickles on it. Right? But I don't eat at Chick-fil-A because the values that company has against the LGBTQ community, even though I'm not a member of that community, it's dehumanizing people, and I can't accept it, so I can't eat at Chick-fil-A.
And you shouldn't compromise your values over lunch or a toy, you know? Like, I know people in my circles are going to own these figures, these Toys Easy figures. Like, somebody's going to buy them. Somebody's going to love them. Someone's going to show them to me. I might even get a chance to play with one at one point. And, you know, I will think, well, I hope this is consistent with your values, and we'll move on with life, I guess.
Well, you say something to someone, and, you know, what's their reaction?
Right.
You know, it's like, then you really have to think, like, is this person someone I want to be friends with? I mean, that's going down a rabbit hole. But it's like that RC, that third-party company that made the enhancements for the chest for RC. You know, not for me.
You were talking about Nicey, who's right there.
I don't want anything to do with that. But believe me, I know people who have that and think it's the greatest thing in the world. And I'm like, dude, what does that say about you as a person when you invite someone to your home and you're like, check it out? Like, you're actively showing me this thing, which you should keep in a box under your bed.
Yeah, no, I agree with you on all that. And it just, this is just it's an interesting thing that came up. because usually we don't have to have these debates over our toys. But we do right now.
The funny thing is I mean, I feel like some of these figures, I mean, they could do a figure of anything, and the fact that they are doing figures of these, controversial items, or the same thing could be said of Nicey or some of those as well. I mean, that's a different controversy, I suppose, but it's kind of like these actually. I feel like a lot of these companies actually get more publicity because we debate the topic about like we'll send out a tweet and be like, don't support this company, like here's all the images of all this, them doing it. And then someone's like, oh, well, that's actually kind of a cool looking figure. I wouldn't mind actually having that. And they had no idea before you even brought it up that it was a thing.
It's like,
I get that argument. I totally do. But then again, I'm an educator. So I feel like, encouraging people to be as informed as they can about the things they consume is really what I want to do. So I guess I'm willing to take that risk to make sure people know what they're buying. I don't think, I honestly did not catch what the Gustav was. I did not recognize that vehicle as an actual real world thing because I don't know much about military weapons. But another person in the Discord chat was like, oh yeah, that's German artillery. And I was like, oh, well, it is. That's literally its name. Okay. I didn't know that. And, now that I'm more educated on it, the figure suddenly looks a little less neat to me.
Yeah. And it's like, same can be said about, the new BotCon. People who want to support it, I'm like, I understand you're excited for it. You've never been to one, but do some research on who's running that show before you decide to give someone your money.
I don't want to get too far into that one, but yes, I think that, you should always do research on what you're consuming. It's just a good thing to do. What I'm wondering about, though, is after we're talking about these military vehicles, right? Have there's a hobby community around model kits of military vehicles. Have they been having this argument for the last 80 years? Because there's model kits of those vehicles.
But I don't think it's done in a way that, hey, let's celebrate this fellow nation whose ideals align with ours, i.e. China celebrating the German political movement of the 1940s. The
way the first figure was the celebration figure and then the other two came with it, even though they don't say anything about being a celebration, it does give you that feeling. It's just like, are these also celebratory?
I think it's a big difference. So, I'm thinking in my head, that Combaticons episode where they're introducing the G1 show, weren't they were German World War II vehicles, right? Weren't they? And Starscream rebuilds them.
Vehicles.
Yeah, weren't they German vehicles, and then Starscream rebuilt them into the Combaticons?
I know they were washed up vehicles.
Plus there's Carbombia.
Right. Yeah, there's a lot of references in there, and not celebrating those particular parts of the fiction. That's how I go about it.
It's unfortunate. It's unfortunate, but you can say, all right, that was done in the time where people weren't as sensitive to it.
What's
I wish
the
you would
deal
have been
with
at
the teeth
Expo.
on your Unicron, Rick? Is that they look very realistic there?
They're actually human
People
teeth
have
that
been
he rips
commenting
out from a
about
person.
the Unicron teeth here.
Oh, I don't know.
That is
it's
really
weird that
creepy,
Transformers have teeth to begin with.
Yeah.
It is weird. The G2 is all about. It was about introduction to teeth.
Yeah, it's weird that any Transformer has teeth, or that they breathe. When you see them breathing, like they do in Beast Machines, which it's just odd.
Yeah, that is a weird thing. Yeah, I enjoy this conversation topic because it is very interesting to me, and I think we just kind of have to maybe think about it a little bit. This is actually the first time I've owned a G-Axis figure. because I actually really hate the history of the IDWG axis. Like, I find it very troublesome, very problematic.
But the G2 Jaxus, you know, that's what that figure celebrates.
Right. This is a G2 Jaxus, and he's just a generic, you know, angry warlord mess of a man.
So, I mean, we could talk about the Simon Furman RC issue.
Right. And I've talked about it many times on the show, and everybody who watches knows I don't like that. Right. And
all
that
right, so
literally...
we can move on then from that.
That directed my collecting. Like, that has affected my collecting. I won't buy figures of that G-Axis, and I won't buy figures of that RC. I try to avoid those depictions because I think that was a very sexist story at the least. I don't want to get into it, but
there was a story I came up with that I was trying to pitch while I was there, Hasbro, where RC shows up. It was very much inspired by Transformers Prime RC. She shows up and she kills that RC, and she becomes the new RC of the continuity. And the Decepticon version would be that this guy shows up and kills Megatron, but it's Beast Wars Megatron. He becomes the Megatron going forward. Because we were kind of doing that with like Cobra Commander and the G.I. Joe books. So I'm like, hey, can we bring that into Transformers where, you know, Cobra Commander got killed and then someone else became Cobra Commander?
Yeah, it's a fun idea. I mean, I think it was dealt with as well as possible and all that good stuff. But I just wanted to mention that because I think not collecting certain things because they depict something you didn't like within your fandom is totally natural. But that's a very normal thing to do to prevent yourself from feeling shitty about your collection.
Yeah, I don't want to feel bad about what I collect.
Yeah,
I'm very torn about
fun.
the whole Kiss Player thing. I'm torn about it. I don't celebrate it. Like, you can't find any of those little girl figures on display in my room. They're all in the boxes. All right, but like, I think it's cool that Optimus has a surfboard. You know, so
well, the thing that's odd to me, like, I don't see where these types of figures actually fit into my collection. I mean, there's so many figures out there, and like that's where I just ask myself, it's like, why would I even stray, you know? And I'm sure that, again, you know, we've had 1,000 Optimus Prime, so I guess at this point maybe some people are trying to serve a market that is a little bit different, but I don't see why I would even come up at all. Like, whereas the Kiss Players and some of that stuff, it's like it's official, you know, it came out. Yep. And so, like, to me, I feel like that's an easier bridge than some weirdo third party thing that, you know.
And it's,
so two things.
Yeah, you bring a very good point. Like, where do these fit on my shelf, right? It's like the Legends figures, those samurai inspired versions of everything, of Marvel, of Star Wars, of Transformers, all those samurai inspired versions of every line that's coming out. It's like, where do those fit on my shelf? It's a legend scale figure, but now you're adding another layer on top of it. So it's not official. So I just don't feel that need to spend the money and dive into that world.
And, you know, those figures don't fit into either of your collections. They actually fit into my collection because I usually get whatever looks cool from whatever toy line, whatever's the most impressive robots. So it is a bit of a bummer for me because when I did first see the first one I saw was the Chinese battleship, and that thing looked so neat. I had no idea what it was. Like, I didn't know it was a real ship. I didn't know what it was made for. It was just like, wow, that is so cool looking. And then, you know, it's like, damn it, this is not something I want to get.
So here's what I'm keeping my eye on. If they put out the new Chinese aircraft carrier as a piece of this combiner, right? Because that aircraft carrier is designed to protect like disputed waters, and it's designed to keep our aircraft carriers at bay. So I'm just like, and then what does this figure look like when it's combined? I mean, these things are so intricate. What is it?
Right.
Is it gonna look like a Michael Bay creation when it's all combined, and have a big like, is it gonna have like Kim Jong Un's face on it or something?
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
I don't think so, but we'll see what happens.
It worries me what the combined figure is going to be.
yeah, it'll Maozatron or something.
It combines
And
into
I
a
don't know
swastika or something.
that we were talking about in book club this week is that the or in the chat, I can't remember where we were talking about it, but the German and the Japanese figures both look like they're supposed to be evil characters, where the Chinese figure doesn't look like it's supposed to be an evil character. So I don't know if they're actually all part of the combiner or not, because there's been no images of those two other figures as arms, legs, butts, whatever. The only one we know as a combiner is the Chinese ship.
So if it's a
part of me
supposed
wonders-
villain,
So we'll see.
If it's a supposed villain, then does that make you feel better?
And that's an excellent question.
And what's the answer?
I don't know. The answer for me is probably not.
I wonder though, if they're villains, who else would be grouped into that category?
And we don't know for sure. People are just
you know,
going off the fact that they look,
if,
like the Gustav looks evil. Got monster face.
Yeah, I mean, if we're talking that these two figures may be separate, may be villains, is the USS Enterprise a villain? Is the USS John McCain a villain? Right?
Who knows?
So here's a question. So from Catherine in the chat, she asks, will the rumored Amazon Prime figure challenge anyone's morals? Because they've had some negative press. So is that
again?
And I'm going to start this off because we've talked about this. I've talked about this to Catherine before, and it's fascinating to me because like these type of things, talking about the Toys Easy figures, like it's just such a quick reaction for me to be like, no, I'm just not going to get those anymore. The not going to Chick-fil-A, easy reaction. Amazon for some reason hasn't pushed me that far yet, which is bizarre when I think about it. Like perhaps maybe I should think about it a little harder.
I kind of have hope for Amazon. I have a good friend who's a supervisor for where the trucks rendezvous and head out, and I think if they continue to allow for people to vote, I know they're not against unionization, but people are voting for unions, and I think if that continues to happen, Amazon already pays a pretty good starting salary, from what I understand, for hourly workers comparatively. So, plus, as Lucas said, it's like KISS players. It's something that's official. It's sanctioned, so it's an easier pill to swallow.
Yeah,
I guess, but so much of our buying now, our world really has changed. That do we go buy stuff at Walmart, even though half of Walmart employees are underpaid, overworked, and have to rely on food stamps? Like, do we support that company? Right?
And is it any different than buying Walmart exclusives, knowing that, we haven't had Walmart-tron, but still Walmart's getting a ton of exclusives for Transformers.
Well, and I don't know that Amazon Prime would be any different than buying any other Amazon exclusive. Like if you're making
it would be exactly the same.
Yeah.
It just might say Amazon Prime on it, and of course, like I just want to point out, we don't actually know that that's real. It's been a rumor for years before. It might just be like a joke rumor again. We'll find out in the next couple of days.
But yeah, I don't know.
What's the over-under on it being MP10?
I have a feeling it would just be G1 Optimus with the label on his back.
No.
Because it's going to be like
great.
Tonkatron, Tonka Pooper, or whatever it's called, Tonkanator. That's it.
At least Tonka has a history, right? Like,
I love Tonkanator. Don't get me wrong. Like, it's just, if Tonkanator wasn't G1 Devastator, I would get it if it was a different Devastator. But I just don't need a G1 Devastator.
Yeah, Ron brings up a good point too, that it's like how much of our toys are produced in, or really a lot of the goods that we buy in substandard working conditions overseas. So yeah, like that's the thing that's like kind of hard. It's hard to even bring that into into it. But
the factories in China, from what I was exposed to, compared to other factories that I've seen since leaving Hasbro, it's like night and day. It's like night and day. When you have a very big, Fortune 500 company, for the most part, it seems they try to keep things at a certain standard, which is, why Nike ran into such a huge controversy a few years ago. But then you get into third-party companies, or companies that, they make those little fidget toys that my kids like so much, the little popping toys. Those could very well be made in substandard conditions.
Yeah, and that's hard to say. So, like, I just want to say, like, as people have listened to our conversation, like, I bet a lot of people are thinking, like, something we've said sounds like mental gymnastics to justify getting the thing you want. And I hear that from other people all the time, right? Like, I hear people who say, I don't support Hobby Lobby, but man, that sell on model kits is really good. I'm going to go get me some model kits at Hobby Lobby. It's like, oh, all right. So your money's more important than your values. Okay. But it's always going to sound like that, right? Like, I do a lot of moral psychology teaching, and anyone else's values, the way they get around them is always going to sound like crazy mental gymnastics outside of your own head. And it's normal. That's how it sounds, because you don't share other people's values.
Yeah, I don't know. I know for
when
me,
you do, you live in a bubble.
If you live in a bubble, yeah. Get out of your bubble, dang it.
I know for me that, like, all of these figures, like some of those, over sexualized figures, like I've always felt weird to me, and like I don't really like having those in my collection. And then the same with these, like I don't see where they have a place in my collection, so like that's for me. But again, I feel like
well, let me ask you,
we're
Lucas,
blessed by so many figures that it doesn't matter.
We are.
Let me ask you, Lucas, is that a personal choice, or is that because you have sons that see your collection?
Oh no,
and you don't want to
they wouldn't. They wouldn't even notice at all. Like with that stuff, it just makes me feel weird. Like I think the closest I got was the fans project, the female Dinobots, which are kind of cool, but then kind of weird too. That's the closest that I came on that, and then I sold them to Anna. So there you go.
And now they're mine. Yay! Yeah, my controversy.
I am dreading having to explain Kiss players to my daughters one day. I hope I just kind of die, and then whoever comes in and takes care of my collection, like, just like, oh, all right, and they just pack them up before like my kids ever see them.
Kiss players is much better explained as cultural differences than it is that's going straight into the content.
It's like that, yeah. Like those Bushido, those statues. Forgive me, I don't know the name. Like I don't want that.
Yushojo, not Bushido.
Yeah, thank you. I don't want that little Optimus Prime girl. But at the same time, I feel that it's my responsibility as someone who's archiving the brand to have a record of it. know,
I love those. I think they're fun.
I don't like. I think of it like, all right, it's a cosplay. It's a Jessica Nigri action figure. You know, it's a cosplay figure. You know,
it is a cosplay figure.
She's a famous cosplay person.
It is basically the human cosplay action figure or non-action figure statue.
Yeah, how many people are we going to see at TFCon Chicago dressed like that?
There already have been some cosplays of it.
Yes.
Very popular.
Yep. Hell, I might even show up dressed like that with my little booty shorts.
That would be interesting.
Yeah.
I've got those shorts. I've got shorts that look just like hers. They can loan them to you, Rick.
I don't know if you'd want them back after I try them on.
I never said I'd want them back, but having you show up in them might be worth it.
Yeah, so my kids aren't coming to TFCon.
Do they normally go to TFCon?
No. The judge says they can't talk to me.
I assume your wife, Rick, is like my wife, where they stay the heck away from Transformers conventions.
You know, my house, when you walk into my house, you can't tell there's anything wrong with me. Like, it looks like a normal person's house. Like, there's, like, family pictures, and my wife's a minimalist because I have all the stuff. So, like, you know, it's, like, sofa, some candles, some pictures, very little art on the wall, even though I own an art gallery. Very open concept floor space. But then you go into the basement, and you realize, like, oh, what's going on? And I remember there was a guy working on the stove, and we were talking, and he seemed like a pretty nice guy. So I'm like, oh, I'm going to invite him down to the basement to show him stuff. So I realized now my technique was not, you know, what it should be. And I said, hey, man, you want to see something fucked up? Come to the basement. And,
I don't know I would follow you if you did that, Rick.
I caught myself as soon as it came out of my mouth. I'm like, oh, no. I don't have any guns or anything. So, you know, I don't know if that made it worse or whatever. Eventually, like, the guy came down and he was pretty, like, you know, overwhelmed with what he saw.
Yeah, overwhelmed tends to be most people's reactions. I have to be honest, we've recently gotten away from that. We used to have the normal looking house in the first room, and we finally got some Lego in there. So it's starting to become obvious what kind of people's house you're in.
It's got to stay completely out of sight. I've got one piece of, like, G.I. Joe art in the house that's framed. And it's only there because I framed it because it looks nice, and it's the only thing I've been able to get away with. It's not a robot. It's, you know, it's G.I. Joe concept art, and it's the only thing I've, you know, that even hints at, you know, this.
One day, though.
It's funny, though, like, going through that slideshow, there was actually one more set of slides after our controversy talk that we never got to.
Yeah. It doesn't with the Dr. Wu stuff. Yeah.
Well, I think we're done for the night. I think we call it a night.
We don't care who collects Dr. Wu, right?
Dr. Wu's putting out a cool Alita.
There you go. And apparently MMC has, like, an Optimus repaint or whatever redo of their the Optimus Prime, I think, right?
Oh, and Ares. There's the new picture of the Armada Megatron Ares.
Is it a new
one?
And don't let your eyes
don't let your eyes trick you on that one, because it is a different picture. And it looks so much better. Like I was telling everyone, the only problem with the original figure is they had both her waist guns pulled forward, and it made the whole thing look blocky and stupid. So they just put the guns away. for this one. They just angled it where it looks better.
Oh, there you go.
It is almost exactly the original Ares figure with a new head and two guns instead of one. Like, there's really not a lot of retooling. Visually,
There
people
you
were
go.
tricked by it. They redid the head, and the head looks a lot better. But, you know.
Okay. Yep.
There
I'm
you go.
showing it off here. So there we are.
There you
So,
go. See, pretty.
all right. We got through the slides. So
We did. Ta-da.
yeah. So I was gonna say for Thursday, Anna, are you having a show?
So I think this was going to be my show for the week. I decided.
Okay. So
When
no
you get
show
back,
on
talk
no
about
show
this guy.
on Thursday, guys. I apologize for that. I've got a family thing, so I can't do Thursday night. So I realize we've been a little spotty lately with things going on and whatnot. So, but it does sound like Rick is going to have a cut the tape. Is that right, Rick?
There's going to be a cut the tape. Yeah.
So make sure to send that to me. I don't know if you've filmed it yet, but
Saturday morning.
What's that?
I'm going to send it to you Saturday morning.
Okay, so it won't be up until Sunday then. So look for that on Sunday because I won't get back until Sunday from it being out of town. So I apologize to everyone for for life and whatnot. But
Shouldn't Rick be the one apologizing?
No, I mean, I might do it tomorrow. Who knows? It's just
we'll
sitting
see.
there in my office.
I leave Thursday morning, so just make sure that you send it to me before then. If you want to have it posted before Sunday. So.
Well, guess what? I don't care. So I will.
Lucas, if I start recording my Rick parody, Cut the Crap, will you post it as if it's a
Absolutely.
legitimate episode?
100%.
All right.
I would love to
Yes.
do a commentary episode on that too, where I just give my running commentary over whatever
On the
visuals
opening KO toys?
Yeah. Yes. There you go.
Did anyone
I
record your panel, Anna, from TF Expo?
I gave it the best ever knockoff Transformers panel at TF Expo.
Yeah,
That's the only one.
Standing room only in the panel. So
I actually had to kick people out because they were having fun playing Mystery of Convoy in that room, and I had to be like, get out. It's knockoff panel time.
You had Mystery of Convoy playing, like people could play it on the Famicom?
People were playing it, yeah. They had a Retron set up with actual copies of the Famicom game. It was cool. It was a really nice feature, but I took it away because I had to give a panel.
Wow.
So
People to torture themselves.
With that, so thank you guys for joining me tonight. Thanks to everyone in the chat. Thanks to Zaldron, Catherine, Cassettatune. Thanks to Ron. Thanks to I had a couple. Thanks to the bots. Thanks to Daniel. Thanks to Martin from Mexico City. I didn't have a chance to say hi earlier, but thank you.
Hola, ¿cómo estás, Daniel?
So, anyway, but yeah, thank you guys. And
look for me on Discontent. What is it, Anna?
Oh my goodness.
Look for me on Discontent. I'm gonna join it.
Go to Discus.
Yeah, if
That's
you want
a totally
to join
different
the
program.
book club is Sunday night. That is going to be Shining Armor, ROM versus Transformers 1 to 3.
Yep, that's what we're reading.
There you go. Sounds exciting. Like, I think they're just punishing you now at this point.
I think so.
So, anyway. All right. Well, thanks, guys, and we will see you next week. Oh, the bots are back. There we go. I conjured them. So.
Yay!
Bye.